Hello guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to learn about the simple present tense, but before we start, I have a special video message from someone that I want you to see.
Hello, my name is Amy. Nice to meet you all. Today we're going to learn about the present simple tense. Do you know when do we use the present simple? First, we use it for actions that happen regularly or habits. For example, I drink a cup of milk every morning. Do you have a habit that you do every day?
Okay, so let's all say hi to Amy. Now Amy is here with us to tell us when do we use the present simple. So the first thing she said that we use the present simple for actions that happen regularly or habits. This means or those are actions that are always happening every day, every week, every month. Okay, so they are always happening. They happen regularly or all the time, so we call them habits or repeated actions. Now for example, here Amy said she likes to drink a cup of milk every morning, so she does this, or she drinks this cup of milk each and every morning. So this is a repeated action, so use the present simple with it. Okay.
Second, we use the present simple for facts and general truths. For example, frogs eat insects. Do you know an interesting fact or truth that you can tell me?
Okay, so the second thing Amy says we use the present simple for is for facts or general truths, meaning things that we all know about, things that are always there. For example, she told us that frogs eat insects. We all know that frogs eat insects. Another example, bees make honey. We all know that bees make honey. This is something that is there all the time. It never changes. So we call this a fact or a general truth. Okay.
Third, we use the present simple for permanent situations, meaning things in our lives that do not change or will not change for a very long time. For example, I live in the United States. Can you tell me where do you live?
Okay, so the third thing Amy says we use the present simple for is for permanent situations. Permanent situations, like she said, are things in our lives that do not change. They are always there, or it takes a very, very long time for them to change. For example, she said, I live in the United States. So this is something permanent in her life. This is something that is always there. It will take a long time for it to change. For example, we live in Alexandria. So this is something in our lives that doesn't change or will take a very long time to change. So the third thing that we use the present simple for is for permanent situations. Okay.
Finally, we use the present simple for actions that have a timetable or schedule. For example, the train to London leaves at 1 o'clock. Now, I'm going to leave you to start your lesson so you can learn how to form the present simple and learn its spelling rules. It was nice meeting you today. Goodbye.
Okay, so let's all say goodbye to Amy. And the fourth thing that she said we use the present simple for is for actions that have a timetable or a schedule. For example, she told us the train to London leaves at 1 o'clock. So this action has a certain time that it happens in. It has a timetable. So the train to London always leaves at 1 o'clock. This is its schedule, or this is its timetable. Okay, so let us start by seeing again when do we use the present simple. So the first thing that we use the present simple for is for facts, general truths, or laws of nature. Like we said, facts or general truths are things that do not change or never change. They are always there and we all know about them. For example, the first example, smoking causes cancer. We all know that smoking is bad for your health, and we all know that it can cause cancer. So this is a fact, okay? This is a general truth. For example, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Now this is a law of nature. This is something in nature that can never change, okay? The sun can never rise in the west and set in the east. For example, water freezes at 0 degrees. It can never freeze at 100, for example, okay? So this is a law of nature. This is something in nature that is always there and it will never change. Okay, the third example, 5 times 5 equals 25. So this is also a fact or a general truth. 5 times 5 can never equal, for example, 30. Okay, so again, we use the present simple for facts, general truths, or laws of nature, which are things that are always there, they never change, and we all know about them. Now, the second thing we use the present simple for is for permanent situations. Like we said, permanent situations are things in our lives that do not change. They are there, and or it will take a very long time for them to change. For example, do you remember what Amy said? She said, I live in the United States. So this is something in her life that is there. This is something permanent. It doesn't change. And it will take a very long time for it to change. It's not that easy to change at all. For example, the first example we have here, we live in California. So this is where we live. This is a permanent situation. This is something that doesn't change in our life. Another example, where do you study? Now here I'm asking also about a permanent situation. I'm asking about the place you're studying at. For example, I study in Sakr school. So this is also something permanent. This is something that doesn't change, or it will take a time for it to change. I can never, for example, study at one school for a day and the second or the next day I'm studying at another school. Okay, so the school I'm going to study in for a very long time. So this is something permanent, something that doesn't change. Okay, so the third example, my father works at an elementary school. So this is also a permanent situation. This is where he works. He can never work, for example, at an elementary school for a day and the second day he is working at a hospital. Okay, so this is something permanent in his life. It doesn't change, or it takes a very long time for it to change. Okay, so the second thing we use the present simple for is for permanent situations, things that do not change in our lives or take a very long time to change. For example, we have here doctors work in hospitals. This is a fact. Okay, this is a general truth. We all know that doctors work in hospitals. Okay, for the third thing that we use the present simple for is for habits, routines, and repeated actions. Do you remember what Amy said? She said, I drink a cup of milk every morning. So this is something that happens each and every morning. So this is a habit, a routine, something that always happens every morning, every week, every day, every month. Okay, something that is always happening. For example, on Saturday mornings I sleep late. So this means that every Saturday morning it's my habit to sleep late. I sleep late. Okay, the second example, my father rides the bus to work. So this is also a routine. This is something that happens every day. So for example, my father can never ride a taxi to work. Okay, this is his routine. Every day he takes or rides the bus to work. Okay, this is a repeated action. Number 3, I always call my mother on her birthday. So this is also a habit. So on each and every birthday I have to call my mother. This is something that I do on each birthday. So again, we use the present simple for habits, routines, or repeated actions, things that are always repeated each and every day, every week, every month, every holiday. Okay, so we use the present simple for it. Now, the fourth and last thing that we use the present simple for is for action set by a timetable or schedule. Like Amy, or do you remember the example that Amy gave us? The train to London leaves at 1 o'clock. So this action, the action of the train leaving, is set at a time, at a certain time, 1 o'clock. So this action happens at 1 o'clock. So this is a schedule, this is a timetable. Every time it's 1 o'clock, the train leaves the station. Okay, or the train arrives to the station. For example here, the flight to Rome departs at 5 o'clock tonight. So departs here means leaves. So the flight to Rome leaves at 5 o'clock. It means that this is the certain time where this action is going to happen. Okay, so when it's 5 o'clock, the flight to Rome leaves. So this here is a timetable or a schedule, so I use the present simple. Now the second example, don't worry, the bus comes every 20 minutes. So again, this is a schedule. Every 20 minutes the bus comes to the bus station. So again, this action is set by a timetable or a schedule. Now the third example, class begins in 2 minutes. So again, this is a timetable. So in 2 minutes the class is going to begin. So this is also a certain time this action is going to happen in. So this is a schedule or a timetable. So again, the fourth and last thing we use the present simple for is for actions set by a timetable or schedule, actions that happen at a certain time or a certain or have a certain schedule. Okay, for example here, I wake up every day at 8 o'clock. So this is a habit, this is a routine. I do this every day. I wake up at 8 o'clock. So this repeats itself each and every day. Okay, so I use the present simple for. Now quickly let's revise when do we use the present simple. The first thing we use the present simple for is for facts, general truths, or laws of nature, things that we all know about, things that never change. For example, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Okay, the second thing that we use the present simple for is for permanent situations. Permanent situations are things in our lives that do not change or take a very long time to change. For example, we live in California. This is something permanent. The third thing we use the present simple for is for habits, routines, and repeated actions. So things that are always repeated every day, every week, every month, every holiday. Okay, they are always repeated. For example, on Saturday mornings I sleep late. Each and every Saturday morning it's my habit to sleep late. Okay, and the fourth and last thing that we use the present simple for is for actions set by a timetable or schedule, things or actions that happen at or have a certain time that they happen in. For example, the flight to Rome leaves or departs at 5 o'clock tonight. So this is a schedule, or this is the schedule of when the flight is going to leave. So I use the present simple. Okay, now we saw when do we use the present simple, but how do I form the present simple itself? So if I want to form the present simple in the affirmative, affirmative means not negative. Okay, with I, you, we, you plural, and they, the verb stays as it is. I do not add anything to it in the present simple. For example, I play, you play, we play, you play, they play. Okay, so with I, you, we, you plural, and they, the verb stays as it is. I do not add anything to it in the present simple. But with he, she, and it, I add an S at the end of my verb. Now he, she, and it, we call them the third person singular. Okay, if I have he, she, or if my subject is he, she, and it, my verb in the present simple has to end with an S. Okay, so this is the present simple in the affirmative form or the not negative. Now if I want to form the present simple in the negative form, so what do I do? With are, you, we, you, and you plural, and they, I add don't and then put my verb. Okay, I don't play, you don't play, we don't play, you don't play, they don't play. Okay, so with I, you, we plural, I, you, we, you plural, and they, I add don't and then add my verb in the present simple. Okay, but with he, she, and it, I add doesn't. Okay, and then put my verb. He doesn't play, she doesn't play, it doesn't play. Okay, so again in the negative, with are, you, we, you plural, and they, I add don't first and then I add my verb. Okay, I don't play, we don't play, they don't play. But with he, she, and it, I add doesn't and then I put my verb. He doesn't play, she doesn't play, it doesn't play. Okay, now this was the negative. Now how do I form a question using the present simple? I want to ask a question using the present simple. So with are, you, we, you plural, and they, I add do in the beginning and then my subject and then my verb and then of course the question mark. I do not forget the question mark because this is a question. So for example, do I play, do you play, do we play, do you play, do they play. Okay, so with are, you, we, you plural, and they, I add do first and then my subject and then my verb and then the question mark. But with he, she, and it, I add does in the beginning and then the subject and then the verb and then the question mark. Does he play, does she play, does it play. Okay, and here we have a very important note. This is very important. Any verb that comes after do or does or don't or doesn't stays as it is. Okay, either if I'm forming a question or if I'm forming the negative, any verb that comes after do or does or don't or doesn't stays as it is, even with he, she, and it. Can you see? I have does here, so and I have my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb stays the same. I do not add anything to it. Also here, I have don't and doesn't. The verb after them stays as it is. I do not add anything to it, even with he, she, and it. Okay, even with doesn't, the verb stays as it is. I do not add anything. Okay, so here we have examples on how to form questions in the present simple and how do I answer those questions. We said that with I, you, we, and they, I add do in the beginning and then the subject and then the verb and the question mark. Do I like cheese? Do you like cheese? Do we like cheese? Do they like cheese? But with he, she, and it, I add does in the beginning and then the subject and then the verb and then of course I don't forget the question mark. Does he like cheese? Does she like cheese? Does it like cheese? So this is how I form the question. But if I want to answer those questions in the present simple, if my answer is in the affirmative or if I want to say yes, with I, we, they, and you, I answer with yes and I add do. Okay, for example, do you like cheese? Yes, I do. And my answer here has an I because I'm asking you, do you like cheese? So yes, I do. Do we like cheese? Yes, we do. Okay, so if I want to answer my question in the affirmative, with I, we, they, and you, I add do in my answer. Okay? But with he, she, and it, I add does. For example, does he like cheese? Yes, he does. Does she like cheese? Yes, she does. Does it like cheese? Yes, it does. Okay? So with he, she, and it, if my answer is in the affirmative, or if I want to say yes, I add does in the end. Now, if I want to say no, or if my answer is in the negative, I add what? With I, we, you, and they, I add don't. So, do we like cheese? No, we don't. Okay? Do they like cheese? No, they don't. Okay, so with I, we, you, and they in the negative, my answer, I add to it don't. Okay? But with he, she, and it, I add doesn't. Okay? Does he like cheese? No, he doesn't. Does she like cheese? No, she doesn't. Does it like cheese? No, it doesn't. Okay? So this is how I form a question and answer it in the present simple, either in the affirmative if I want to say yes, or in the negative if I want to say no. So let us quickly revise. How do I form the present simple? We said the present simple in the affirmative, if it's not negative, with I, you, we, you, and they, the verb stays as it is. I do not add anything to it. But with he, she, and it, and we call them, like we said, third person singular, I have to add an s at the end of my verb. Okay? Now, if I want to form the present simple in the negative, with I, you, and we, you plural, and they, I add don't, and then I add my verb. I don't play, you don't play, they don't play. Okay? But with he, she, and it, I add doesn't, and then my verb. He doesn't play, she doesn't play, it doesn't play. Okay? And if I want to form a question in using the present simple, with are, you, we, and you plural, and they, I add do in the beginning, and then the subject, and then my verb, and of course I do not forget the question mark. Do you play? Do they play? But with he, she, and it, I add does in the beginning, and then the subject, and then my verb, and of course the question mark. Does he play? Does she play? Does it play? And we said that any verb that comes after do or does or doesn't and don't stays as it is, even with he, she, and it. Okay? Here, the verb that comes after, because I have do here, so my verb stays as it is. Because I have does here, my verb stays as it is, even though it's with he, she, and it. Here also, I have don't here, so my verb stays as it is. And I have doesn't here, so the verb after it stays as it is, even with he, she, and it. Okay, so any verb that comes after don't, or doesn't, or do, or does, stays as it is. Okay. And we said again, this is an example on how to form the question using the present simple. And I said if I want to answer this question in the affirmative, if I want to say yes, with I, we, they, and you, I add do. Yes, I do. Yes, we do. Yes, they do. But with he, she, and it, I add does. Yes, it does. Yes, she does. Okay? And if I want to say no, if my answer is in the negative, with I, we, you, and they, I add don't. Do they like cheese? No, they don't. Okay? But if it's a he, she, or it, I add doesn't. Does he like cheese? No, he doesn't. Okay, so this is how we form the present simple in the affirmative and the negative and the question. Now, we have certain special or certain spelling rules that we have to take care of while forming the present simple, especially with the third person singular, or like we said, with he, she, and it. So those are what we call the third person singular. Okay, so with most verbs, the third person singular form is created simply by adding s. So if my subject is a he, she, or it, my verb in the present simple, I'll simply add an s to it. For example, he reads a book every month. She learns fast. It works very well. Okay, so here my subject is he, she, or it. My verb in the present simple, simply I'll add an s to it. Okay, and we said that only with the subjects he, she, and it I have to add an s. Only with he, she, and it. Okay, now if my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb ends in o or ch or sh or double s or s or x, I add an es, not just an s. Okay, for example, he goes, yes, because here my subject is he and the verb here ends in an o, so I have to add an es in the present simple. He goes. Okay, she catches. Why? Because here my subject is she and the verb ends in a ch, so I have to add es in the present simple. She washes. Okay, why? Because my subject is she and the verb here ends in an sh, so I have to add es in the present simple. He kisses. Why? Because the subject is he and here we have my verb ends in a double s, so I add an es in the present simple. She fixes. My verb here ends in an x, so I have to add an es in the present simple, and of course the subject is a she. Okay, for example, here he watches a lot of TV series, so here I have my subject is a he and my verb here ends with a ch, so I add an es at the end in the present simple. Okay, now if my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb ends in a consonant plus y. Consonant, we said, is consonants, are all the letters that are not vowels. Okay, so it ends in a consonant. If my verb ends in a consonant plus y, we remove the y and add ies. For example, he marries. So my subject here is a he, and here the verb ends in a consonant r plus y, so I remove the y and add ies in the present simple. She studies. Here I have a consonant d and a y, so I remove the y and add ies. Okay, he carries. I have a consonant here r and a y, so I remove the y and add ies. It worries. For example, here I have an r, a consonant, and a y, so I remove the y and add ies in the present simple. Okay, for example, she studies hard. Here I have my subject is a she and my verb ends in a consonant d and a y, so I remove the y and add ies in the present simple. Okay, now if my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb ends in a vowel plus y, I simply add an s, and vowels are a, e, I, o, u. Okay, so if I have a verb that ends in a vowel plus y and my subject is he, she, or it, I simply add an s. For example, play. He plays. Why? Because I have a vowel here, a, and a y, so I simply add an s at the end. She buys. Okay, I have a vowel here, u, and a y, so I simply add an s. It says. So I have a vowel here, an a, and a y, so I simply add an s in the present simple. Now, those rules that we said are all regarding the third person singular, he, she, and it. But if my subject is they, we, you, or I, the verb doesn't change. Like we said, it stays the same in the present simple. For example, they play the guitar. You study a lot. We go to the theater every week. I live near the park. Okay? So if my subject is they, we, and you, or I, my verb in the present simple stays as it is. Okay, so let's revise quickly the spelling rules. We said for most verbs, if my subject is he, she, or it, or the third person singular, I simply add an s to my verb in the present simple. He reads, she learns, it works. Okay? And of course we said only with the subjects he, she, or it. But if my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb ends in o, or ch, or sh, or ss, or s, or x, I add an es in the present simple. Okay, not just an s. He goes, because here the verb ends in an o. Okay, and my subject is he. She catches, my subject is she, and the verb here ends in a ch, so I add an es. He washes, my subject is he, and the verb ends in an sh, and so I add an es in the present simple. Okay, of course here kisses, double s, and my subject is he kisses, so I add an es in the present simple. She fixes, my subject is she, but my verb ends in an x, so I add an es in the present simple. Okay, like here we said he watches a lot of TV series. Now, if my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb ends in a consonant, and we said consonants are all the letters except the vowels plus y, we remove the y and add ies. For example, he marries. Okay, here I have a consonant r and a y, so I remove the y and add ies. She studies. Okay, I have a d, a consonant, and a y, and my subject is she, so I remove the y and add ies. Okay, it carries. For example, here also my subject is it, and I have a consonant r and a y, so I remove the y and add ies. Okay, now if my verb ends in a vowel plus y, I simply add an s, and of course with the subjects he, she, and it. For example, he plays. Why? Because I have my subject is he, and the verb here ends with a vowel, and a y, so I simply add s, and we said vowels are a, e, I, o, u. Okay, for example, here he buys. Here I have my subject he, and the verb ends with a u, a vowel, and a y, so I simply add an s. And of course we said all of these rules are regarding the third person singular if my subject is he, she, and it only. But if my subject is they, we, you, or I, the verb doesn't change, it stays as it is. Okay, in the present simple, they play, you study, we go, I live. Okay, now time expressions are, like we say, keywords. If I find them in a sentence, I'll know that I have to use the present simple here. So the first keyword or hint is every. Okay, every day, every week, every month. For example, I brush my hair every day. Okay, so this is something that happens every day. This is a habit, a repeated action, so I use the present simple. In the morning, so here the second word is in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon. I study in the afternoon, so this is a habit, so I use the present simple. On Mondays, on Fridays, I go to the club on Mondays. Okay, so this is also a habit, a repeated action, so I use the present simple. At night, at the weekend, So, for example, I visit my grandma at the weekend. So this is also a habit. So I use the present simple. If also I see adverbs of frequency in the sentence. So adverbs of frequency are words that indicate that this action happens a lot of time. Okay, they give us a hint that this action is always happening or happens a lot of time. Okay, so these adverbs of frequency are always, usually, sometimes, often, rarely, seldom, scarcely, and never. Okay, so these actions always happen, these words indicate that the action in the sentence happens a lot of time or repeats itself a lot of time. So don't worry, we're going to take the adverbs of frequency in a separate lesson, inshallah. We're going to take them in detail, so don't worry about them. So again, time expressions or words that keywords that if I see in a sentence, I'll know that I have to use the present simple. I have every day, every week, or every month, in the morning or in the evening or in the afternoon, on Mondays, on Fridays, on holidays, at night, or the weekend, at, and the adverbs of frequency: always, usually, sometimes, often, rarely, seldom, scarcely, and never. Okay, so this was it for the present simple. But before we start practicing, let's quickly revise the present simple again. Okay, so when do I use the present simple? I said the first thing I use the present simple for is for facts, general truths, or laws of nature, things that we all know, things that never change. Okay, the second thing that I use the present simple for is for permanent situations, things in our lives that never change or take a very long time to change. The third thing that I use the present simple for is for habits, routines, and repeated actions. Okay, things that are always repeated, they repeat themselves every day, every month, every week. Okay, and the third thing the fourth and last thing that I use the present simple for is for actions set by a timetable or schedule. If I have a certain time this action happens in, or a certain schedule that this action happens in. Okay, so this is when do I use the present simple. Now, how do I form the present simple? I said if I want to form the present simple in the affirmative, if it's not negative, with are, you, we, you, and you plural, and they, the verb stays as it is. I do not add anything to it. Okay, but with he, she, and it, I add an s at the end of my verb, and of course it depends on the verb itself if it ends with any special letters that we're going to revise again in the spelling rules. So with are, you, we, you, and they, the verb stays as it is, but with he, she, or it, I add an s in the present simple. Now, in the negative, if I want to form the negative using the present simple, with are, you, we, you, and they, I add don't and then my verb. I don't play, they don't play. But with he, she, or it, I add doesn't and then my verb. She doesn't play, he doesn't play. Okay? This was the negative. If I want to form a question in the present simple, with are, you, we, you, and they, I add do in the beginning, then my subject, then the verb, and I do not forget the question mark. Do you play? Do they play? Okay, but with he, she, and it, I add does in the beginning, then my subject, and then the verb, and then of course the question mark. And we said a very important note: the verb that comes after do or does, or don't or doesn't, stays as it is, even with he, she, and it. I do not add anything to it. So any verb that comes after don't or doesn't, or do or does, stays as it is, even with he, she, and it. Okay? Now again, this is we said how to form a question in the present simple. But if I want to answer this question, if I want to say yes in the affirmative with I, we, they, and you, I say yes and I add don't. Do you like cheese? Yes, I add do. Do you like cheese? Yes, I do. Okay, do we like cheese? Yes, we do. But with he, she, and it, I add does to my sentence. Does he like cheese? Yes, he does. Okay, if I want to answer with a no, with a negative, with I, we, you, and they, I add don't in my answer. Okay, no, they don't. For example, do they like cheese? No, they don't. Okay, but with he, she, and it, I add doesn't. Okay, does he like cheese? No, he doesn't. Okay, and we said that we have certain rules that we have to take care of while forming the present simple, especially with the third person singular with he, she, and it. So we said with he, she, and it, I simply add an s to my verb in the present simple. He reads, she learns, it works. Okay, and this is only with he, she, and it. But if my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb ends in an O or a CH or an SH or a double S or S or X, I add an ES in the present simple. He goes, I have an O here, so I add an ES. She catches, CH, so I add an ES. It washes, okay, SH, so I add an ES. She kisses, double S, so I add an ES. He fixes, an X, so I add an ES in the present simple. Okay, he watches, fine, because here the subject is he and my verb ends in a CH, so I add an ES to my verb in the present simple. Okay, now if my subject is he, she, or it, but my verb ends in a consonant plus Y, consonants we said are all the letters except the vowels, okay, or all the letters that are not vowels plus a Y, we remove the Y and add IES. For example, he marries. Okay, I have a consonant here, R, and a Y, and my subject is he, so I remove the Y and add IES. She studies. My subject is she, and I have my verb here ends in a D, a consonant, and a Y, so I remove the Y and add IES. Okay. Now, if my subject is he, she, or it, and my verb ends in a vowel, vowels are, like we said, are A, E, I, O, U, plus a Y, we simply add an S. For example, he plays. Why? Because he is my subject and my verb here ends in an A, a vowel, and a Y, so I simply add an S. Okay, and we said those rules were regarding the third person singular with he, she, and it. But if my subject is they, we, you, or I, the verb doesn't change. I don't add anything to it in the present simple. They play, you study, we go, I live. It stays the same. I don't add anything to it. Okay, we said we have certain keywords that if I see in a sentence, I'll know that I have to use the present simple. We said the first word is every day, every week. Okay, in the morning or in the evening, on Mondays, on Fridays, on holidays, at night or at the weekend, and the adverbs of frequency: always, usually, sometimes, often, rarely, seldom, scarcely, and never. And we said we're going to take the adverbs of frequency in a separate lesson, inshallah. Okay, so that was it for the present simple. Now let's start practicing together. Now here we have to click on the correct answer. The bird, something, a song, every morning. So here I have a keyword, every. And so if I have every, a keyword, so here means I have to use the present simple. So my subject here is bird, right? So bird is it. It's a third person singular. So can I say the bird singing a song? Is this even the present simple? No. So this is not correct. The bird sing a song every morning. Okay, this is the present simple, but my subject here is it, and we said if my subject is he, she, or it, I add an s in the present simple, right? So no, wrong. So the bird sings a song every morning. Okay, because here the subject is it, so I add an s in the present simple. Okay, Tom always something his bike quickly. So always here, this is an adverb of frequency, so this is a keyword. I use the present simple. Okay, can I say Tom always riding his bike? Is this the present simple? No. So Tom, he is a he, right? So my subject is he. Can I say Tom always ride his bike only? No, we said if my subject is he, she, or it, I add an s at the end of my verb in the present simple. So Tom always rides his bike quickly. Okay. My mom can something very well. She for us every day. So my mom can cooking. Is this even the present simple? No. So my mom can here is like do or does. Okay, we said that the verb after do or does or don't or doesn't comes as it is. So can I say my mom can cooks? No, my mom can cook. Okay, so my mom can cook very well. She for us every day. So here my subject is she, so I add an s at the end of my verb in the present simple, so she cooks for us every day. Now the baby something, but she crawls very well, and I have the negative here. So the baby doesn't, okay, doesn't, but can I say doesn't walks? We said what? Even if my subject, the baby here is a she, okay, even if my subject is she, he, or it, the verb after doesn't or do or don't or does stays as it is. So can I say the baby doesn't walks? No, the baby doesn't walk. Okay. Mario something football every weekend. Now here I have a keyword every, so I use the present simple. Now Mario here, this my subject is a he. So can I say Mario playing? Is this even the present simple? No. Mario play like that? No. So Mario plays. Why? Because here my subject is a he, so and my verb ends with a vowel plus y. So if my subject is a he, she, or it, and my verb ends with a vowel plus y, I simply add an s in the present simple. Okay. Now here we have to write the correct simple present form of the verb between brackets. Now you can pause the video, take 3 minutes to solve it by yourselves, and then you can play the video again to check your answers. Okay. Now number 1, we in Manchester live. So it's going to be we live in Manchester. Why? Because my subject here is we, so the verb in the present simple stays as it is. So we live in Manchester, and we live in Manchester, this is a permanent situation, so I use the present simple. Number 2, Eric chess play. Okay, Eric plays chess. Why plays? Because my subject here is Eric, he's a he, and my verb ends in a vowel, a and a y, so I simply add an s in the present simple. And Eric plays chess, this is a fact about Eric, this is a truth about Eric, so I use the present simple. Now number 3, Jean at night, and I have study. Jean studies at night. Why studies? Because here my subject Jean is a she, and my verb ends in a consonant plus y. Okay, so I remove the y and add ies. So Jean studies at night, and Jean studies at night, this is a habit. Okay, so I use the present simple. Now Leonard, his homework in the bedroom. I have do. Leonard does his homework in the bedroom. Why does? Because my subject here is Leonard, he's a he, and my verb ends in an O, so I add an ES to my verb in the present simple. So Leonard does his homework in the bedroom, and Leonard does his homework in the bedroom. This is a habit, so I use the present simple. Now, number 5. Mr. Elliot in an office and I have work. So Mr. Elliot works in an office. Why works? Because here my subject is he, Mr. Elliot, and my verb here, does it end in any special letter? No, it's simply work. Okay, so I simply add an S in the present simple. So Mr. Elliot works in an office. This is a permanent situation, so I use the present simple. Now, number 6. School at 6:30 and I have finish. So school finishes at 6:30. School here is an it. Okay, so why finishes? Because here, like I said, school is an it, and my verb ends in an SH, so I add ES in the present simple. So school finishes at 6:30. This is a schedule, so I use the present simple. Number 7. The children, the street to school, and I have cross. So the children cross the street to school. Why cross? Because the children is the subject they. So if the subject is they, I, or you, or we, my verb stays the same in the present simple. So the children cross the street to school. This is a repeated action, so I use the present simple. Number 8. The dog outside sleep. Okay, so the dog sleeps outside. Why sleeps? Because here my subject is it, the dog, and the verb here, does it end in any special letter? No, it's simply sleep. So I simply add an S in the present simple. So the dog sleeps outside, and this is a permanent situation, so I use the present simple. Now, number 9. We to work together, and I have go. We go to work together. Why go? Because my subject here is a we, so the verb in the present simple stays as it is. We go to work together, and this is a habit, so I use the present simple. Okay, number 10. They TV every day, and I have watch. Of course, here I have a keyword every. They watch TV every day. Why watch? Because my subject here is a they, so the verb in the present simple stays as it is. They watch TV every day. This is a habit, so I use the present simple. Number 12. I the car every day, and I have wash, so I wash the car every day. Why wash? Because here my subject is I, so if my subject is I, the verb stays as it is in the present simple. And of course here I have a keyword every, and I wash the car every day, so this is a habit, so I use the present simple. Now the last one, my brother televisions and fix. So my brother fixes televisions. Why fixes? Because my subject here is brother, which is a he, and my verb here ends in an X, so I add an ES in the present simple. My brother fixes televisions, and this is a fact or a truth about my brother, so I use the present simple. Okay, now this was it for the present simple. Here I have a game for you. So you can use this game to practice more the present simple. It's a very cute game. It's about Pink Panther. I hope you like him. So here I'm just going to solve the first one as an example. So he break the alarm clock. You have to fill in the blanks. So here the subject is he, right? And my verb is break. Does it end in any special letter? No. That we took in the spelling rules? No. So I simply add an S in the present simple. So he breaks the alarm clock. Okay, so you can solve this game to check how did you do in the, or if you understood the present simple or not. So this was it for our lesson today. Hope you had fun, and see you inshallah next time. Goodbye.